Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praises are due to Allah, and may Allah's peace and blessing be upon His Prophet Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to session 5 in our book, My Worship. Inshallah ta'ala, we talk in this class about the issue of taking a shower, a full shower. We have spoken in the previous class about the conditions of ablution, the pillars of ablution, and invalidators. Of course, the invalidators apply to ablution and to shower, of course. So let us today, inshallah ta'ala, go over the topic, how do we take a shower? Like we have mentioned earlier, that if someone is in a state of major impurity, he is required to take a shower. When do we get into the state of major impurity? Is if someone, for instance, had a sexual intercourse, or ejaculated semen, or he had a wet dream, or a woman was pure from postpartum bleeding or menses, then in this case, those people are required to take a shower in order to perform salah. So let us go over the steps of performing the shower. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, of course, and if you are in a state of janaba, major impurity, then purify yourselves. Allah commands us, if we are in a such state, that we are required to take a shower. So again, the first thing that we need to pay attention for is the intention. Like we said, every act of worship, we are required to maintain intention. That this intention, of course, is in the heart. You should not utter anything. But this intention classifies what exactly you're about to do. I am about to take ablution. I am about to take a shower. I am about to pray Dhuhr prayer, for instance. So we must attend such intention to classify the act of worship that we are going to perform. Secondly, in the case of shower, we must say Bismillah. Bismillah means in the name of Allah. Why do we say Bismillah? We say Bismillah to show our need for Allah's help for us. We are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in whatever we are going to do. Also, we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless whatever we are going to do. So Bismillah is said to ask Allah's help and to ask Allah's blessing subhanahu wa ta'ala to shed our activity. Thirdly, of course, like in the case of janaba, major impurity, we must start by washing the hand. So we must wash the two hands. The fourth act is we must wash the private part. We must wash the private part, of course, using the left hand. We are told not to use the right hand to hold the private part with. Rather, we use the left hand to hold the private part. So in case of washing the private part, we use the left hand in this case. So after doing this, we do a complete ablution, like we have mentioned earlier. So wash the two hands, wash the face, including the mouth and the nostrils, the two arms from the fingertips, from the hand fingertips up and including the elbow, right, then left, rubbing the head and the ears and the feet. This is a complete wudu that we take. Okay. And then after that, we pour the water from the top of our head, start with the right side, then the left side, the entire body. And if a woman has braids, she does not have to release the braids in this case. She can take a shower while the braids are as is. But you need to make sure that the water reaches the scalp. So make sure the water reaches the scalp by at least moving your scalp or your hands in the scalp to make the water reach through the head or through the hair into the scalp. And finally, we wash the entire body, of course, and start with the right side, then the left side. We start the right side, then the left side. So this is the steps in which we take a shower. So we start with the intention, we say Bismillah, we wash the two hands, we wash the private part with the left hand, we take a full ablution, and we pour the water on the head and make the water, sure water reaches the scalp, and then we complete the entire body, right side, and then the left side after that. So this is how we go about in taking a full shower. The next topic is in the case if someone did not find water whatsoever to make ablution with. What is the way out? Islamically speaking, Islam had introduced a way as a substitute for making ablution or even making a shower. If someone wants to pray, he can perform such act as a substitute for ablution and a shower. This is called tayammum. Tayammum. So tayammum is actually using earth as a mean for purification. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, but if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes from the place of relieving himself, or you have been in contact with women, meaning in sexual intercourse, and do not find water, then seek clean earth and wipe over your face and hands with it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in the Quran, like the chapter of Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 6, how to go about, performing this substitute for ablution or shower if we lack finding water. So when exactly do we resort to tayammum? Like I said, tayammum is a substitute for wudu. In the following circumstances, we use earth or dust instead of wudu with water. The first case is when there is no water and one searched for it and failed to find it. So you are in a place and you have no water around you. You searched for water, you could not find any. In this case, you can resort to tayammum. Secondly, if water is scarce and you need it for drinking, for instance, you're traveling and you have very little water with you and you need it, badly for drinking, you cannot use that water for ablution because you may harm yourself later if you need water and you don't have access to it. So in such condition, you may keep that water for drinking and use tayammum, resort to tayammum, which is a substitute of wudu, and do tayammum instead. Thirdly, if someone is sick and he cannot use water whatsoever, and if using water is going to hinder his recovery or worsen his sickness, here we say to him, do not use water whatsoever, because if you do so, you're going to harm yourself. And the Sharia, Islamically speaking, holds people from harming themselves. So you may resort to this substitute, which is tayammum in this case. So under these circumstances, a person may resort to tayammum if there is no water, or water is scarce, or using water while being sick is harmful to him or is going to hinder his recovery. We say you can use the tayammum in this case. Of course, the tayammum, like it is said here, when does tayammum become invalid, and when is it not permissible to do? So tayammum becomes invalid if somebody commits an invalidator of wudu. The same invalidator we have covered applies to tayammum. For instance, somebody did tayammum, okay? Now he prayed with it. If he goes to relieve himself, then we say you lose your tayammum. If you're going to pray, do tayammum again. But you need to check, of course, before that if there is water, or you can use the water itself. Then you may do the tayammum in this case. So among the invalidators of tayammum is if you did tayammum, okay, and you prayed with that tayammum, then you found water. We say here in this case, you don't have to repeat your prayer, but in the future, if you're going to pray, do not use earth for tayammum. Rather, you must use the water because you found water and you are able to use it in this case. So if you find water and you are not sick, you should avoid it. you fear that if you use it, it will be harmful, we say, in this case, if you find water and it's not harmful to you to use, then you must use water for ablution and avoid the tayammum in this case. So the same invalidators of wudu apply to tayammum. Additionally, if you find water that invalidates your tayammum and you need to make ablution for the next prayer you wish to pray. Of course, when you make tayammum, like we said in the case of ablution, when you make tayammum, you can use that tayammum for more than one prayer, like said by many scholars. So if you did tayammum, again, like in dhuhr time, you pray dhuhr with it, and asr time came, there is still no water, or someone is still sick and use water, you can still use the same tayammum that you did before. The same tayammum you did in dhuhr time, you can use it for asr prayer and so on. When do you need to make tayammum one more time? If you do an invalidator of wudu, or if you find water and you can use it, here we say you should not do tayammum, but rather use the water. But the next step is how to perform the tayammum. How exactly do we perform the tayammum? Prophet, peace be upon him, taught us how to perform tayammum. Again, tayammum is an act of worship because it is a substitute for ablution, wudu, right? So we must maintain also the intention in our heart that I'm going to do a tayammum in order to pray. Let that intention be in your heart alone. Then you must say Bismillah. You must say Bismillah, and you hit the ground once, okay? And you rub your face, and then the right hand, and then the left hand, okay? So this is the tayammum. Of course, when you hit the ground, it is fine if you blow some of the remaining dust on your hand and then wash or rub your face with that dust, okay? And then, like I said again, the right hand and then the left hand. And this is the complete tayammum. Now, with that tayammum, you can perform the prayer. Of course, the type of earth recommended by scholars to use is which has dust in it. So not necessarily only earth can be used as a mean to make tayammum with, but if there is a dusty surface, like for instance, maybe behind some of the cupboards, there is dust, you can use it to make ablution with. Or if you open your house window, you may see on the walls from outside, there is some dust. You can also use it for tayammum. So these are the ways in which you can perform tayammum, and this is how you may use such earth or dust to perform tayammum with. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, in fact, he showed Ammar ibn Yasir how to perform the tayammum. He said to him, it would have been sufficient for you to do it like this. The Prophet ﷺ then hit lightly the earth with his hands and blew off the dust and passed his hands over his face and hands. Okay, face, then hands. So this is a full tayammum that a person may do. So in brief, when do we resort to tayammum? If there is no water whatsoever and we search for water and could not find water. If someone finds water but he is required to buy it, if he can, he must buy it. If he can afford buying it, he must buy that water in order to perform wudu with water. But if someone cannot find water whatsoever, then we say he can resort to tayammum. If someone has very little water and he's traveling, he needs it for drinking, we say you can use tayammum in this case. If someone is sick and using water will harm him more or will worsen his sickness, we say you can resort to tayammum. While you are in a hospital, while you are in your house, you can use the dust available around you, or somebody can bring you some dust in which you can use in order to perform the tayammum, in order to perform the salah after that. So this is the tayammum, and again, how to perform it? You have intention, you say Bismillah, you hit the ground with your two hands, palms. You can either blow it or without blowing of your hand, rub the face, and then the right hand and the left hand. By this, you have completed the tayammum. So we'll stop here inshallah ta'ala. Barakallahu fikum wa jazakumullahu khairah. صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.